What's going on, guys? J Ribs here with Ghost Gaming. I'm alongside my boy Jacob PR. We're going to talk about the pools going into New Orleans next month, July 13th, 15th. Can't wait for it. Just a little bit of predictions, a little discussion.
Yep.
Our thoughts from our experiences. So, analyst, ex-pro player, my experiences, you guys know of what I've done. And let's kick it right off with Pool A. Who's in the pool, and who do you think is going to come out?
So Pool A, we got Optic, we have Disrupt, which is the #2 Latin America team, and then our last one is going to be Gosu Crew. Actually,
right.
You know, I'm actually excited to see Gosu Crew on land simply because they've been making some noise in these 2Ks and online. You know, a lot of people say they might not transfer to land well and things like that, but I'm excited for Gosu Crew. You know, for my predictions though, as much as I'm talking about Gosu Crew, Optic's looking too strong.
Of course.
Optic with Praise and Solars added to that lineup, they're just looking too strong. I don't think they would even really drop a map to these teams.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, undefeated in pool play. But Gosu Crew is going to be right behind them. And then it's going to be up to the Latin American team, the open bracket team for 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, it's always exciting seeing who comes out of open. You never really know who's going to come out on top from open, but when they do come, they usually come with a lot of momentum. But going on to Pool B, we have Ghost Gaming, and this time we have E United. They don't have their own pool. The old E United, or the old European Fable, now it's the French Fable that is coming into the same pool. They took the 4th seed, so we have
Rightfully
Ghost.
so, though. Rightfully so.
Yeah,
their recent performances at these last events, I think, this is going to shake things up for Gears of War.
Sure, and this is how it starts. E United finally in a pool with another heavy-hitting team with Ghost Gaming. And now we have the ex-Supremacy squad. I call them the French Fable because they're now full of French players except for Reaction, which is interesting. Reaction playing with a full French squad. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the 4/5 of that team are still French players. They speak great English and stuff though, so I'm sure they'll be able to communicate well. Predictions for that pool, Ghost Gaming looks great going into this event. Ex-champions are defending champions. And I'm really excited to see how E United fares going into pool play. We all know that team does well on Friday. In Dallas, in the beginning of the season, they took out Optic in pool play on Friday. First time Optic ever lost in pool play. So Ghost Gaming, if they don't get on a great start, they could drop a match to either of these two teams. But I'm not seeing any big upsets, honestly. Ghost Gaming coming out on top, undefeated. E United afterwards. And then the new French Fable coming out on 3rd in that pool.
Hey, you know, one thing I want to mention, though, is United's roster change. They switched out Jerpy, bringing in Pell.
We'll get on that after.
Yeah, we can get on that after, but you know what I'm saying? United, what are you guys doing?
And on to Pool C, what do you think?
Pool C, I think that's going to be a really good one.
Oh wait, that's Echo Fox. Let me take this pool.
You want to take that one? Go ahead and take that one.
Okay, so Echo Fox is going against the Latin American Kings. They don't really have an org right now. I've heard some rumors on what org they are getting. Really exciting stuff, but we'll see. We'll save that for another video maybe. Same thing. Echo Fox has struggled versus Ronin in the past. In pool play, not so much. So I think Echo Fox will come out on top in this pool. You know, the old Ronin, now Latin American Kings, don't know what org they have yet. They should be able to hold their own. And then lastly in that pool is Elevate.
Yep.
And Elevate's one of those, you know, goon squads. You know, plenty of great skill. Hezi, Sneak. Who else is on that team?
Hezi, Sneak, exclusive Firearm, and I believe Zenon. Click, you know,
you're 100% right.
The video,
Thank you for that, because I love all those players to death, but I always have a brain fart when it comes to those things. So once again, I don't see any big upsets, but these pools are very evenly matched in my eyes. I don't think there's a real death pool. If there is one, it'd probably be United and Ghost in Pool B. And then lastly, what's your predictions on Pool D?
So Pool D, we got, you know, the old Fable squad. You know, now they're EU's finest, which is, you know, Hydron and company. And then we have Simplicity and Rise. Simplicity is a Toy Soldier.
Oh yeah,
Eternity's team. Yes, and that's where actually Jerpy landed up. You know, we'll get to those roster changes later. But then Rise, this one I think, depending on how these teams play, could be a pool of death. Realistically, you know, just thinking about it. But you know, this European Fable squad or former Fable. I also have rumors about their new org as well. I'm excited for them if it does pan out. But they've been showing up. They got their own pool. So if Simplicity and Rise can come out and sneak a win on either one of these teams, I can see anybody really taking the pool. But I think the favorite to win the pool is going to be the European squad. Yeah,
they've been playing so consistent. A lot of people after Mexico said their top 3 placing was a fluke, or top 4 placing, sorry. I don't believe so. And then obviously they proved it in Vegas by getting into the finals, beating Optic, and just doing a great job. So yeah, that pool, definitely I would give it to the Europeans. They've been playing so good. They've kept their roster. And that brings on the next subject. Every North American team made a roster change, right?
Yep.
And, you know, Latin Americans, Europeans, they stood together. Who do you think benefited the most from these roster changes, and who do you think might have just preemptively made a bad decision, picked up the wrong player, or maybe they all benefited in your eyes?
Well, I mean, in my eyes, it's a no-brainer who benefited the most. Optic Gaming.
Sure.
You know, picking up Praise and Solars from Echo Fox and match them with the the big three, the core three from Optic Gaming, which is going to be Summons, Mental, and Explosives. This is going to be the team to beat, regardless of who's involved in this tournament and going down. That's going to be the team to beat. They benefited the most. The least, man, this one's going to be a kind of hard one. I'm kind of looking down at the rosters. The least has to probably be.
I could answer that. In my eyes,
I think it may be United.
Yeah, so I was going to say United, and that's nothing against Pell. I think Pell is a very skilled player. I think he belongs on a top team. He still has a lot to learn. But United, despite their bad placing at Vegas, you know, they lost to Optic just to get into top 6. If you remember, the losers bracket was stacked on one side. So that placement didn't really depict how that team should be playing. Right after the event, I believe they won 2 2Ks. Jerpy just one of the most consistent players on that team.
I feel like he's a backbone player too.
Yeah, exactly. A glue player.
I heard little things like he wasn't making plays enough for the team, or he couldn't think on his own, or little rumors I heard here and there. But I mean, if that's all it is, and you can kind of control him, get a good IGL in there, I would think that would be Shock and maybe a little bit of Rezik, maybe even Lava there. That should make it work. I don't think their problems on LAN were roster problems. I think it was more of how they played the game together against these top teams, because you see them against the lower end teams, they're dominating these teams 14-2, 14-1.
Yeah, United looked great.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden,
Jerpy's got it. And it was kind of out of the blue. It surprised me, surprised a lot of the people I talked about. So I mean, I think they benefited the least. But I would like to see these guys come out and make me eat my words. All right. So we talked about which teams we think benefited the most and which teams, the least with these roster changes. But what teams do you think in their current state are going to be overrated or underrated going into this event?
That's definitely a good question. So I haven't been paying too much on what people are talking about. A little bit here and there. I'm in like the pro wager chat. Overrated team for sure right now. No offense to Demo Balance, TGC. He's heard me say this before, and I want him to prove me wrong. I love those guys, Hazza, Sam. I really love that team, but they've been performing very well in both 2Ks and scrims. And I'm always a fond believer that you learn more when you lose. And when you go into an event winning every little online match, you get too comfortable with that setting, and sometimes you flop. And it's happened to Demos teams before. I hope it doesn't happen this time. Another overrated team in my eyes is United. Once again, a team that does very well online. They win 2Ks. They've taken out Optic and pool play, but then towards the end of Saturday and Sunday, they don't play at that same, that same firepower. They don't bring it. Yes. So I just see history repeating itself with those two rosters specifically. Underrated teams.
When I talked about United, in Mexico, in Vegas, I said one thing is they're a really good team. Obviously, everybody knows that. But I think it's something when they play Ghost, Optic, or Echo, where they're just not playing the same. I don't know if they get flustered or anything like that. Well, tell us what it is. Give us a little bit of insight of the pro player's mind.
So online, for some reason, teams, especially like United, even my old Envious squad last season, online we were much more setup heavy. We, team fire on point. If we won the initial, we held the middle hill for the whole round. And United's so good at that. But on LAN, for some reason, it seems like people just press left on their D-pad more. And you just feel the need to pull out your shotgun and get in these crazy shotgun engagements that you wouldn't usually do in your room or in your bedroom, right? And Ghost loves that, right? Optic loves that. If you try to bang with teams like that, especially on main stage with everybody watching, you're not going to win those shotgun battles. So stick to what you know. And that goes for Demo's team too. You guys have been so good with crosses and whatnot. Stick to your setups. Try not to do too much when everything's on the line. And if you do have to do something amazing, hopefully you can pull it off. And that goes to my underrated teams. Right now, Echo Fox is getting a lot of slack. And if you look at that roster, aside from M-Powers, which has a lot to prove, the other 4 players are such good LAN players. And back to what I said, the more you lose, the more you learn. So if Echo Fox is just getting hammered in all these scrims and losing all these 2Ks to Demo's team, to Ghost, whoever it may be, I feel like when it comes to land time, all those mistakes that they made, they'll kind of be able to not make those mistakes and do as good as they know they can do. You know, players like Icy and Fran have so much confidence. Kenny and Kyle so consistent on land. Time and time again, they've done well on land. And then Empowers, if he shows up the way he has been online, I think that team will take a lot of names and do very well. And lastly, Simplicity, man. I know that team is so hungry. We just talked about how most of those players just got dropped. And now they put together this roster, and I know that nothing's really going to hold them back. We're not going to see any egos on that team. We're not going to see much like really heads-butting arguments because they all just want to prove that they're still viable players.
Yep. So you mentioned Simplicity, players like Toy Soldier, Eternity. So the players who are, you know, at one point or another on the top in this Gears of War series.
Right.
So dragging off of that, who do you think, individual player-wise, overrated, underrated? Who's going to perform at this event? Who's going to underperform, essentially?
Individual players?
Individual players.
So a couple players right off the bat that I know are going to play really good is Mental and Praised. Two players that almost teamed in the beginning of Gears of War 4. Praised actually turned down the offer to Optic, and many people don't know about that. And it was just a thought. You know, Optic told Praised, you know, what if you and Billy were on the same team? What would happen? And we're finally going to see that. Not to mention, Billy just got his worst placement in all of Gears of War 4. He's hungry again.
They got their worst placement in a couple of years, even.
So they're hungry. Praise, we know, is hungry. He just got 5th, 6th twice in a row. That whole Optic squad is going to be very scary to play against. But those two players especially, if they play out of their minds, it's going to be very hard for that team to lose. And players that may not perform so well, and I don't want to jinx anybody, but like I said, I want to see TGC play as well as they have been online.
Whoa.
Demo
players, and you mentioned a whole team. You're calling that a whole
I'm
team
coming at
here
Demo
in this
again,
segment.
man, because Demo's so impressive until he's not. And we want you to just play impressive the whole time. Prove me wrong. And also, same player on that team, Heza. You know, a lot of plays that Heza makes are so questionable, but they work. And can you do that when it matters most? Show me. Do it.
Yeah, one of the players I'm looking for that I think is going to play well, you know, maybe not I think is going to play well, sort of I'm hoping they're going to play well based off their recent performances, that's Toy Soldier.
Sure.
What I've been watching from Toy Soldier lately is pretty amazing. And, you know, you mentioned...
We've all seen it.
Yeah, especially lately. Like, man, this guy's back to his old Gears of War 3 form. He has Eternity and Soda with him. You know, like I said, players are formerly on top.
Yes.
So I feel like Toy Soldier's going to play really well. Somebody who I don't think is going to play well, I'm over here, you know, looking down at all our teams, you know. I think it's going to have to go to, you know, and it hurts me to say this, is Elevate. You know, you call it a whole squad. I'm going to call it the whole squad as well. They're really good players, but I think they're not where they need to be right now.
Yeah, that team, a lot of people are going to overlook, and for good reason. There's still a lot that team needs to learn, a lot of young players on that team. Maybe if you took some of those players and put them with some veteran players, they would have better chances, but with all 5 of them, they need to struggle, they need to lose, they need to have that bitter feeling, and they'll learn from it. Before then, they really just, they're still just too green, you know.
I think it's more so, we've seen these players, you know, Firearm, Xenon, they're getting the top 6. We got Sneaky, Hezi, and Exclusive, they're getting in the top 8. But I think their downfall is just, they seem to jump from roster to roster. No matter what the reason is, maybe their team breaks up.
A lot of it's not really your choice.
Yeah, even if it's not your choice. I just think they don't have that chemistry enough. They don't have that time under their belts right there. That's going to make them, in my opinion, underperform, especially with the pool they're in.
Right. So we both gave our predictions for the most part. We know how Champ Bracket might play out. I just have one last question. If there were going to be any big upsets, you know, we saw Vegas. You know, Optic lost in round 1 of Champ Bracket to the European Fable team. And then United lost to the old, you know, Ronin, the Latin American Kings, right in round 1. Those are that's upset city. You know, we saw a bracket that we never seen before. You know, a Fable and Ronin guaranteed top 4. Meanwhile, Echo Fox and United didn't even make it into top 5. So, do you think we'll see any upsets? And if we do, how far into the weekend do you think it would be?
I think there's only one real upset that you can kind of see in pool play, and that's in Pool D with Rise and Simplicity beating the European team, because I have the European team ahead of them, so I think that would be an upset if they did beat them.
Right on Friday?
Yeah, but you know, the likelihood of that happening, you know, so I mean, I think our first upset is going to be late Saturday, probably early Sunday.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So with that said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Something we kind of threw together here with ideas we've been throwing at each other back and forth. If you guys have any feedback, you guys want to see more of this, maybe an Ask AMA. Ask us questions.
We could do an AMA, a Q&A.
Maybe we can do a breakdown of championship bracket.
Sure.
Let us know what you guys think, if you guys want to see something like this. But until next time, you guys have a great night. Adios.
All right, that's it. I got to go back to my stream.
You were streaming? Being together here, so with that said, can we redo that? Can you edit that part out?
Of course you can.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. I don't know where I was going with that.